Neil, a good week training?
It's always a good week if you don't get any injuries, and we've had more people on the training pitch this week, so that's been good. We've had Manny and Christian have both now come through a couple of sessions, so without tempting fate, if everything's alright, then they'll be able to play in the reserve game on Tuesday, and hopefully they can both get through in 90 minutes.
Do you find that as a football manager, that when maybe there's an attractive match, an FA Cup match on the telly, players start to look fit again?
I think everybody wants to play when it's more of a high profile game. You'd like to think their attitude's the same regarding whoever, but it's only human nature. It's a bigger game. It's live on TV, so it's going out to a bigger audience. It helps, let's say, to get everybody determined to be fit for that game. But I don't think it's a deciding factor, because both Manny and Monty are both frustrated that they haven't played more games, and they're both desperate to get back in the team and start performing.
And I thought players anyway would want to get back involved in a team that's doing well, which you are at the moment. So everyone's showing you training and in matches, obviously, that they want to keep their shirt, or they want to be considered for the team for this weekend. I
don't think, I wouldn't say we're doing well. I think we're doing better than we have done previously, and in some areas we're making improvements, but we need to do better. I think we have to look to do better, but we're giving ourselves at least we're working hard, and that's all you can ask. I mean, I've watched most of the teams, we've played against most of the teams, or I've watched most of the teams in the division, and I do feel there's some good teams. I think the standard this year of the teams is good. Some of the teams have impressed me, so we're going to have to keep working hard to compete with a lot of the other teams in the league.
What do you want them to do better? You touched on that. What is it you want to see improvements from your team?
We can improve in all areas. We can obviously defend as we're doing, but there's always room for improvement, because you always see things when you watch the game back. So we've got to keep working on our defensive shape, but obviously we need to get more goals at the other end. So we need to get our wing backs forward if we play like that, or if it's full backs, we need to get them forward, and we need to get more people in the box, and we need to provide more service for forwards, because it's not as if they're missing a host of chances. They're feeding on scraps at the moment, and they're not getting too many chances. So we need to certainly improve all areas of our play.
How much easier is your job been over the last couple of weeks since the defeat to Lincoln here, but the way things have turned around for you, coming into work and seeing the response that you've had?
No, I think the first week after the Lincoln game was very difficult. Even the Middlesbrough game, because it's a game that obviously we were expected to win, and we should win because it was against a young side. So that was wasn't sort of easy to watch that. I knew that we couldn't afford to make any mistakes at the back in that game. So that was a step forward, a small step. But then going into the Oldham game, I did feel under pressure in that game, because it's the first league game after getting beat 6-2, and you're away from home, and you never know how football's going to turn out, obviously, with the events of what had happened the previous week. So you felt apprehensive going into that game, and coming out of the game, although it was tough, I think the major thing was that I seen that the players were determined to work and show commitment. All the things you need, if one, to pick up any points, and two, if you're going to be a manager, you want the players to represent you out on the pitch. And I feel they've done that over the last few games, so that gives you encouragement, and obviously makes it easier during the week. But the only way you enjoy your weeks, or any time in football, is if you get a result.
Because sometimes that walk from the car in the car park into the club on a match day could be a little awkward sometimes, couldn't it? But I guess it's been a nice short walk from the car.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to say the downside of football, the disappointing times, they stay with you a lot longer, because you're really pleased at the end of the game when you win, but then that feeling probably leaves you, by the Monday you're ready to go again. But when it's a defeat or it's a disappointing performance, that tends to stay with you longer. So definitely, unless you're on a successful winning team every week, the lows can be difficult, but that's part of management. You've always got to make sure that when the next game comes around, you're positive. And I always, once I've had time to reflect and watch the game back and think about things, by the time the next game comes around, I'm always confident that we can get a result.
So can you enjoy these moments then, or do you not think about them because of the changes that can happen in such a short space of time? Do you afford yourself that chance?
No, I think everybody's fortunate if they're involved in a game, which is what they've wanted to do since they were probably at school. So I think I never get away from the fact that I'm fortunate to be in football. But I don't think it's very difficult to equate enjoyment and football management in the same breath. I think it is difficult to do that, but you do get some satisfaction if the players put in a performance and you get the win. That's probably more satisfying, I think, initially after the game than probably when you played, because you've been responsible for a lot more things. But certainly we need to get more wins, and then I'll be a lot happier.
So what do we know about Notts County then this weekend?
Notts County, you always look at Notts County. I think you look at the size of the club. I mean, I've obviously played against them in my career. It is a big club, and they'll be wanting to get promotion out of the league. There's no question about that. I think they invested heavily to do that. But as we all know, football, it's difficult to get results at any levels. But they'll be expecting to push on from where they are and to get higher in the table. The new managers come in. A new manager always wants to bring in some of his own players, and that takes time. But I'm sure he'll try to make some changes in January, and he'll try to implement the style of football which he likes. And again, that takes some time. But we won't treat Notts County any different than we treat Bury, which we knew was going to be a difficult game. And if we don't work as hard as we did against Bury and as against Oldham, we certainly won't win the game, because we can't afford to not work hard against anyone. But if we all do our jobs and we work hard, then we're capable of getting a result.
Is there more expectation on you from the supporters, given the form that you're in the last few games and the clean sheets that you kept, to be on the front foot straight from the first whistle, if you can be?
I think supporters would have a right to expect us to create more chances than we have done certainly in the Oldham Stevenage game, and at times on Saturday where we got forced back. But that again is down to the players and it's down to the opposition. But we have to have a positive mindset, and we've got to make sure that we support whoever's up front, and we give them some chances to go up.
Have they got to be braver?
Well, I think bravery on a football pitch is a lot of things. You can be brave by showing for a ball when you're not playing particularly well, but certainly you've got to be prepared to get forward. You've got to be prepared to run past somebody without the ball, knowing that if it breaks down, you're going to have to sprint back. And I think that's something that we need to do. So you can work hard in different ways, but we've got to work hard, I think, off the ball to get bodies forward and prepared to take some chances. Ben
Whitfield came on and he did a little bit of that, made some runs, linked up well with Tom Pope when he came off the bench. And so is he in your thoughts? Have you got a bit of thinking to do with your final team selection before the weekend?
Yeah, every player's in my thoughts.
Every single one?
Yeah, they're always in my thoughts. Yeah, every week, every player's in my thoughts. But there's some who obviously have played better than others who are in better form, others whose fitness is better, and everything has to be taken into account before you pick the team. But like I've said on many occasions, you might not play well, but there's always a lot of thought goes into every team you pick. There's always a lot of reason behind it, but it doesn't always look like it sometimes when you get a bad performance, and you know, if you could, hindsight is the one thing that we'd always have.
Well, as a former player and now a manager who can see it, can players sometimes rest on their laurels a little bit when they have kept their place in the team during a good run? Does that happen? I'm not saying here, but in your experience.
Human nature is that if you've got a good player in the same position as you, and he's not playing, you know fine well that he wants to play, and he's capable of taking your spot. So ideally you'd want to have people playing on the pitch and a replacement for them sat on the bench, in the stand, whatever. You'd like to have a couple of people competing for every position, but you're always going to have, invariably going to have somebody who is better than his replacement. I think go down any club and there'll always be players who, if they were picking one game, that they had to pick a team for one game, they'd always have some that are going to start with others. And my job is that to try and improve the squad, try to strengthen, and then you've got more competition for places, and that's ongoing. You're doing that all the time, but nowadays you can only do it from window to window, and that's one of the differences now being a manager than what it was years ago.
But the mood's good.
No, the mood is good. I mean, it's hard to come out with and say the mood's good when you're not doing well, but I do feel that there's always a good spirit in the camp, but that gets better if you get a result.